Bulabinaka, good evening and namaste. I'm Vijay Narayan. You're watching Fiji Village Street Talk. And tonight, a lot to be discussed again. As you know, we look at topical issues that affect you. And in the past few days, a lot of talk around the community, around the grog bowl, on social media, on mainstream media about the changing prices. And no better guest than the FCCC CEO, Mr. Joel Abraham, tonight on Fiji Village Street Talk for the first time. So, yes. Welcome to our studio, and we hope to see more of you, Mr. Abraham, in the coming months.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Vijay. I think it's a pertinent time that we address issues. I think post-budget announcement, there's been a lot of discussion about prices, and a few unethical, unscrupulous traders also are misbehaving. So, an opportune time to address the concerns that people have. Look forward to the discussions.
Thank you. And on Street Talk, we ask questions straight based on also the questions that you've sent. It's about accountability and transparency. At the end of the day, people who walk into the studios, of course, they hold themselves out to you and answer your questions, answer my questions based on what is relevant, what is topical, and to ensure that we continue to build strong pillars of democracy, including freedom of expression and freedom of media. So my first question, Mr. Abraham, people are disappointed and unhappy how things have transpired. The exorbitant increase in prices, way above the expected increases on August 1st. And are even saying that FCCC was reactive rather than proactive. Can you please explain why you were reacting? And even saying that you will have businesses, you will get businesses 2 weeks to sort themselves out.
Sure. So please allow me to clarify. The FCCC was actually out in about 7 weeks prior to 1st of August. Our inspectors were out collecting baseline data, undertaking surveys, so that we know what the prices were pre 1st of August. We have collated a massive list of what the prices would look like, and that is why come 1st of August, when businesses started misbehaving and acting unethically, we were able to go in and quickly remedy the situation. Chicken prices, of course, is a good example. I give you one example. One particular store had number 17 chicken go up to $25.80. Immediately when we got there, because we had the baseline data, we had the discussions with the shop managers and the shop owners, and they were able to bring the price down to about $19. And over the weekend, the same chicken went for specials at $18.95. So prices returned to pre-VAT levels. So we did have a very proactive approach. We've been in close contact with the Ministry of Finance, close contact with the Permanent Secretary and the Minister himself, having discussions as to how we would look at transitions. Now, I do understand the sentiments of people. The anger and the disdain that was expressed as a result of exorbitant prices. Now, having an enforcement agency itself does not mean that people won't be unethical or misbehave. We were expecting people not to do this. We take a very collaborative approach. We've gone down to businesses. We've got a very strong advocacy campaign running, saying, please comply with the law. We don't want consumers to lose out. Now, with items that are price controlled, we have a direct say because those are under our purview. There's a particular section in the FCCC, section 52, that says you can't overcharge below the above the stipulated prices. Now, that being said, the items where the increases were noticed were all non-price control items. But because we had the baseline data, we managed to correct the market situation quite quickly. And the 2-week time period that we're talking about is not to say adjust your prices. The 2-week time period was to look at the price tickets on the shelves. Now, if you walk into a store on the 31st, you walk into Extra or Shop and Save or RB. Now, some of these supermarkets have 30 to 40,000 different SKUs or different line items. When there is a change, these stickers need to be taken out, adjusted, meshed with the system, and then put back in. We were out for inspections till 4 a.m. on the 1st of August, from 31st night till 4 a.m. on the 1st of August, ensuring that the staff were putting that up. Now, the 2-week time period was given to traders to say, make sure you put those stickers in. Those stickers will be verifying. So, these 2 weeks we are spending verifying that the stickers that they've put match with the system price. Otherwise, it will be a case of price
Do
advantage.
you have enough officers on the ground?
Everybody from myself to our hospitality officer and driver was on the ground 7 days.
Do you have enough?
We'll never have enough, Vijay.
How many officers do you have?
So currently, we've got 96 people that are out and about on a daily basis, servicing the entire country. The concentration of officers are in the central division, but we've dispatched teams to the northern and the western division as well. Not just there, rural shops, smaller canteens. Today we have written to the Minister of Education seeking permission to go to school canteens as well, because we've received complaints that school canteens have also jacked up their prices.
Questions on that. Now, what happens to those, this is a question that was sent in, what happens to those people who have been unfairly charged during that time? From August 1st, they went and they bought chickens and the price was way above the amount. Are you concerned about that? Can they be compensated in some way?
Legally speaking, no. This is the straight answer, because the act around pricing for non-price control items is purely dependent on the business, and whether to put something under price control or not is a government policy decision based on the FCCC's recommendation. That being said, there is no law restricting anybody from increasing the prices. Now, if the prices are exorbitant, that would amount to unconscionable conduct, which is an indirect breach of the FCCC Act. So it's a very general provision which says a person shall not in trade or commerce engage in a conduct that's unconscionable. The conduct itself is not defined. We in Fiji have taken it to be defined as if there's an exorbitant increase, if there's misrepresentation around the price increase, if it is not tax related and you've increased it and you're telling customers this is because of change in VAT, then we can prosecute. Unfortunately, we are still bound by the requirements of the law. Fortunately for the traders, sometimes unfortunately for the consumers, because we still have to follow the process of natural justice. Once we collect the information, we'll have to then collect sufficient evidences to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt in court via criminal proceedings. We'll have to collect data, we'll have to disclose whatever we found to the business, allow them a chance to explain. And the law also gives them certain leeways in the law to say if the increase is reasonable, then it's okay. Now, the law does not go on to say what constitutes a reasonable increase. We have to collect enough evidence to go to court and prove that the increase was unreasonable, and that process of investigation does take time.
So you have a lot of loopholes in the law.
Yes, our law is in fact
of a decree?
No, our law is in fact copied of the Australian Trade Practices Act of 1974.
It's a Commerce Commission decree, which is now
the
FCCC
2010
Act.
Yes, but
so when it came into the form of a decree,
yes,
that was back in 2010. Of course, all decrees then became acts because we didn't have Parliament in 2010.
Yeah.
Don't you think we need the law reviewed with consultation?
100%. In fact, we have started the law review process with the assistance of the Asian Development Bank. We are now, I think, in the consultation phase where we'll be going out. It's with the ministry. The FCCC is also heading it as part of the secretariat. The idea is to make the law robust. Now, while the Commerce Commission decree did come in 2010, that was a copy-paste of 3 legislations, which was the Counter-Inflation Act of 75, the Fair Trading Decree of 1992, and the Commerce Act of 98. They were put together to make the Commerce Commission decree of 2010. And then when the laws of Fiji was revised, the decree changed to Act, and 1st of August 2017, because of the change in name, the legislation changed to the Fiji Competition and Consumer Commission Act.
I get worried when you say copy-paste law, but review, as far as a review is concerned, when those watching can take part in consultations?
Because the review of laws is not just purely done by the FCCC, because we are the implementing agency. It is done in conjunction with the ministry, line ministry, which in this case is the Minister of Commerce, and the Office of the Solicitor General. We'll also be consulting with the office, the Attorney General's office as well, to ensure that everybody has a say and it will go through the process. That process has already commenced. We've got the ADB sending technical experts to review the Act, and that review has happened. But yes, the Fair Trading Decree 1992 was a copy-paste of the Trade Practices Act.
Now, just in relation to people saying that why couldn't we be proactive in FCCC,
Yes.
print out the prices or have the prices out on the morning of August 1st when it was done that these were the expected prices so that the consumers were aware before they went into the supermarkets.
Which products? So for price control items, all of them were made available to the public. Non-price control items, because we don't have any control, we can't cause them to be published.
So you only gave estimated prices afterwards? You were forced to do that?
Not
About like, for example, chicken?
No, so we did not give any estimated prices. What we said is we want to know from different traders what the prices were. So we went out and did surveys. So for example, in the central division, and I have a list here, say rooster chicken number 14, on the third was about 1650. Prior to that, it's set around 1645. So the shop that we visited, we looked at it and we said, okay, this is what the price was pre-VAT, because we had a baseline. We went and compared it with the prices post-VAT changes, and we went back to the traders and said, explain the difference. A lot of them explained it. Some of them couldn't explain it. They reverted the price, and prices have normalized since.
So you didn't expect the traders to do this?
Well, I mean, nobody expects traders to behave unethically. I mean, we always want traders to engage in...
It's in a perfect world.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we want people to behave ethically. When they do behave unethically, that is where the provisions of the Act comes in, and we are bound by the requirements of the Act. Acting outside our powers would then constitute breach of our, abuse of our powers.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, the FCCC CEO Joel Abraham with us, addressing your concerns, issues that have come in, and issues that have come up. What happens to the businesses who inflated the prices? What can be done?
So right now we are investigating them under unconscionable conduct and misrepresentation. If we are able to satisfy the legal elements and we are able to have enough evidence to proceed for litigation, that is where we are headed.
And is there a process where if someone is seen to be doing something wrong, that there's a certain amount of warnings given firsthand before they're taken to task for further legal action? Yeah,
for SMEs, for smaller businesses, we do give 3 warnings. There's a trader counseling involved. Just this morning we were at the Monash FNU session, and the SME council member Watsoni Nata Jr. said no SME in Fiji has started, no business has started by following all the laws. People, when they start a business, they learn as they go. And so what we have done is we've taken a very collaborative approach that if a small business is coming up, if there's an SME, we try and go and counsel the traders and say, these are the requirements, so that when we eventually do take them to court, nobody can come and say, look, I had no idea that this was a breach of the law. So we do trader counseling, we do warning letters, we give infringement notices, and then we litigate.
What about the major traders?
Major traders, we litigate, fines do come in. These are all in public domain. I think most recently there's about a couple of them, the courts have issued fines, 15,000, 10,000. One trader has got about $250,000 in fine.
How often are prices monitored? Is it different in urban versus rural areas?
It is monitored on a daily basis. So we have a team of enforcement officers that go out on a daily basis. They not only look at prices, but they look at quality of goods, they look at expired items, they look at any misrepresentations, they look at prices need to be marked and displayed. So these are other things that the inspectors also look at. They also check for VAT compliance in accordance with the VAT Decree 1991 as well.
And since the government is the final decision maker on price control items, etc., how often is a report going to the line minister? So
the review of the price control order is done every 3 years to assess which items should be placed under control and which items not. If there is a request or a requirement from the minister can request the FCCC to provide recommendation and advice. We do a market study and we provide recommendations to the minister.
What is the process of filing a consumer complaint? What is the turnaround time for response? Now there's this Desmond David on your FCCC Facebook page saying it's been 8 months and no response after filing several complaints with evidence.
I'll have to check on the specific matter, Vijay, but the process is if a complaint has been filed, the complaint is put in our complaints register, it's registered in our case management system. It's first assessed to see if it meets the requirements of us accepting a case. One, we look at whether parallel investigations has happened. We look at whether a matter is before court or with the police or with Consumer Council or any other agency, because we do not spend resources duplicating investigations. The other point that we look at is whether it falls within our jurisdiction. Sometimes we receive all sorts of consumer complaints. We also receive complaints against the state, wherein we refer the matter. As soon as a complaint is received, an acknowledgement should be sent. I can check on this specific matter. I can respond to Desmond. If you can give me the details, I'll respond to Desmond myself and find out what has transpired. And if we have heard and if one of our officers have heard, we'll ensure that the HR process is instituted so that something similar does not happen.
So delays are not entertained,
No.
and the FCCC CEO has said that we'll look into this Facebook post, and Desmond David is the account. Fiji Labour Party rejected the FCCC and Finance Minister's claims on price increases posted by FLP as misinformation. After the statements came out, Mahendra Chaudhry is saying that they're standing by the prices quoted, as he says FCCC did not take into account price fluctuations between 21st April and 2nd August this year. Can you please clarify?
Yes, so initially we identified two people that had basically were circulating this list that was initially prepared by the Fiji Labour Party and posted on their Facebook page on the 21st of April. Now, the 21st of April, there was discussion by the chair of the then Fiscal Review Committee that VAT may go up. There was no discussion on whether there'd be exempt, some items that would be exempt. So Fiji Labour Party prepared a list and they put it up on their Facebook page, and it was meant for discussion purposes. Now, what's transpired, and we had not acted on it, we had not said anything because it was for discussion purposes. They're well within their right as a political party to do so. Now, come 1st August, one of their former election candidate, he shared the same list and he said, this is what's happening, this is what government is doing, and a few other people did the same thing. At that point in time, we sent cease and desist letters to these individuals, but we also sent a letter to the Fiji Labour Party saying, this originated from you. You also are duty of care. We give you this opportunity to go and clarify that this list is no longer relevant. It may have been relevant on the 21st.
For discussion.
But it's no longer relevant because, Vijay, if somebody is taking something that you've created and they're causing confusion and creating misinformation, I think as a political party leader and as a political party, Fiji Labour Party owes a duty of care to the people to clarify, to say this list is no longer relevant. I think that has not come out yet, and we again implore the leader of the Labour Party to come out on record and say this list is not relevant anymore. It was relevant on the 21st, it's relevant for discussion purposes, but those lists do not represent the two prices. And may I add on, we went and clarified the list, and some more misinformation has been generated saying only 2 kg sugar is VAT exempt. If you buy 4 kg, you will have to pay VAT. That's incorrect. We were just trying to clarify the misinformation that was generated as a result of that list.
There's a question from Donnie. Before the budget announcement, most of the major supermarkets had raised prices of several grocery items and slipped under the radar, according to him. After the VAT increase of 6%, they raised prices by a minimum of 6% and somehow cite buying costs and freight for the extra increase. The Finance Minister recently said that decreasing freight costs should help push the grocery prices down. It's not happening and does not look possible. The FCCC has not done anything here apart from checking the 6% increase from July 31st. It's a flawed process. When will FCCC realize the truth?
FCCC is very cognizant of the truth, Vijay. In fact, I've gone on record saying that since we've been monitoring international freight rates. They've started coming down from the last month of last year. And we have reflected that in over 230 different price reviews that we've conducted. In fact, I've got the list with me. I've made the announcement. I have a list in front with me as well. I can tell you things like, if I can quote, say, if you take a Health Plus soybean oil 750 ml, used to be 470, now is 325. That's a $1.45 reduction, 30.85%. This was done on the 20th of July. This is pre-VAT announcement. I've got prices post-VAT announcement as well. So if you take Amanda brand canola oil 5 litre used to be $26.34. Now it's $20.04, a $6.30 reduction, which is a 23.92 reduction on the 1st of August. Now, most recently, we've got Meadow Fresh full cream milk, 1 litre used to be $2.86. Now it's $2.73, a 13 cents reduction, 4.55% reduction done on the 6th.
And you can get all of this
on the FCCC website.
On the FCCC website.
Yes.
Shishu Chandra has sent in a question saying a hardware based in Namaka Nadi has allegedly defrauded numerous customers by taking deposit for hardware and failing to deliver. Says apart from the operation in Nandi, also on Facebook, the operation continues. There are cases pending with FCCC since early last year, and they have been unable to resolve or bring the person to court. The FCCC reference is given 17601, sure. And according to Shishu Chandra, remains unresolved since February 2022. Yep. They say they have lost $725. They have a list of 7 other people via messenger group who are owed a total of $11,036. A couple of them are investors from abroad as well. Shishu had written to you as the CEO on 8 June. A response was received on assessment of service and staff to be taken and to see if there's a delay. However, he's still waiting for FCCC or any update.
Sure. I will look at the case number. I've taken note of that and will respond to Shishu Chandra directly. But as I've alluded to previously, we still have to follow the process of natural justice. And now if there's more than one complainant, then what we do is we find that if it's not a one-off thing, it may be fraudulent in nature as well. At that point, what we do is we seek assistance from the Fiji police as well. FCCC does not have arrest power, so we can't forcefully get anybody in for a caution interview. We cannot force anybody to come in and give evidence that may self-incriminate. So what we do in those instances, if people play truant, our job is to go and look for them. And because we don't have arrest powers, we seek assistance from the Fiji Police Force. In this particular case, I've taken the case number, we'll respond to that.
February 2022, so if it's gone to police, maybe it'll be good to let people know, including the people watching, for a press release.
Sure, but I'll check on that.
Yes, based on the veracity of the information.
Yep.
Can the CEO explain why there's a huge delay? We've addressed that, so hopefully, Shishu, you are fine with that. And how does the CEO justify the existence of FCCC in view of taxpayer funds used to resource this institution in view of such massive delays in awarding justice?
Unfortunately, I mean, what we don't do is make rulings on matters and say somebody has and find people guilty. That is the process for the courts. We are an enforcement agency similar to the police or similar to FICAC. Once you get a complaint, you gather enough evidence based on the information at hand. If they satisfy the legal criteria, matter is filed in court, and then the court process begins. We still have cases in court dating all the way to 2014. The reality for us is, if there is a assault matter or an aggravated robbery matter, our case is stood down in court. And so we've got considerable delays in court as well. As far as justifying the existence, in 1999, the Fiji Labour Party had closed down the Commerce Commission, and there's empirical evidence as to what transpired in the market. You could also draw a comparison when items are deregulated. Prices of ghee is deregulated, the prices shot up. So if there is a deregulation, if FCCC doesn't exist, monopolies and near monopolies will be then free to charge whatever. So if EFL comes to you tomorrow and says, pay me $5 per kilowatt, you're paying 34 cents currently, you've got two options: either pay them, generate your own electricity, or don't have any electricity. And that is why the FCCC does exist, to ensure that monopolies and near monopolies don't abuse market processes.
You're watching Fiji Village Street Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
Super Rugby is not an easy competition to compete in. Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Bula Vinaka, I'm Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by Kasabias, specializing in your need.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the Chief Executive Officer of the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission, Mr. Joel Abraham. Questions have also come in, and this is in relation to yourself, Mr. Abraham, on whether you have been politically biased in the past. In 2018, the NFP, and a statement was released, which you've cited, had called for your resignation following what they called your public display of blatant political bias towards the Fiji First government. And you had even gone on to say that those having pocket meetings with people were lying about reducing the cost of living. At the time, the NFP leader had said it was clear you were meaning NFP, as their candidates in the 14-month period had publicly announced the party will reduce the cost of living by removing VAT from basic food items and reducing poverty on other essential items. People also raised concerns through questions on the confusion coming through awareness campaigns led by you in different parts of the country during the campaign period of the 2022 general elections. Was it necessary to do it at that time? Can you please clarify those issues?
Sure. I think I very well remember the press release that was sent out in 2018 by the Federation Party at that point in time. They said that we meant we referred to them. In fact, we had made no reference to any political party. What we said is there were politicians or aspiring politicians that were going around saying we'll reduce food prices by 20% overnight. I said that's not possible, and if anybody has a magic formula, if anybody had the formula then or if anybody has it now, irrespective of your political inclination, if you care about the people, tell us. We are the competent agency required to do that. We'll reduce it. I did not see it as political bias. We do cross over on political issues, because one of the major issues going into the 2022 election, 2018 election was cost of living. That is directly related to the FCCC. The objectives that we have under the FCCC Act require us to look at and discuss consumer issues, and if it's related to cost of living, we will definitely comment on that. I think before the last elections, I also commented on FSC as well, whereby I think some politicians had called FSC bankrupt, etc. We disagreed, and I think it's all part of democracy, where you are able to have open public discussions around that. As I've said to the current government as well. I've met with the ministers, both Minister Manoa and Professor Biman.
Were they suspicious of you? Honestly speaking.
You can ask them.
I'm asking you.
Not that I could find anything. My discussion with them did not show to me that they had any suspicion. In fact, on the day of the 2022 elections, somebody reported that my comments may have been towards the Fiji First Party as well. Now, I personally, as the CEO of FCCC, I work for the Fijian government and the people of Fiji, not for any particular political party, not for the last one, not for the current ones. I will continue to work for the people of Fiji and for their betterment.
So we expect an apolitical approach at all times from
Yes.
the CEO of FCCC.
Yes, most recently I've issued a statement against the Fiji Labour Party. That doesn't mean now I'm aligned with the Federation Party or the Alliance Party or SODELPA.
Just a question on that confusion people are saying caused you doing awareness campaigns during the time of political campaigns.
So it wasn't a campaign on our behalf. We have an advocacy program that is set out. That advocacy program means that we do have to go out in communities, and I do that every year, whether it's elections or not. And during election, we get a lot of requests from communities to come and clarify some of the issues that they have. And in some of those meetings, we get complaints regarding water authority, we get complaints regarding EFL, against FRA, against government services as well. And we do take those complaints. We're still doing those advocacy sessions to date. It just coincided with the campaign period
They're
as
no
well.
longer called awareness campaigns?
No, they're still called awareness campaigns.
Okay. So when is the next one coming up?
We can invite you to we'll send you the list. You can come and attend it
For
if
the
you want.
people to know, this is their question.
Sure. We do advertise. Community-based people know. They come in wherever we are going. If we receive request, if we receive one tomorrow, we'll go tomorrow. If not, then...
Also, the awareness campaigns are held based on requests.
It's based on our work program and requests.
Okay, both.
Yeah.
A question sent in, this is $889,234 in taxpayers' money was paid to VATIS Communications. This is based on what was presented in Parliament by the coalition government earlier this year.
Yeah.
Now, was VATIS engaged with FCCC? If so, then for what period and what processes were followed prior to their engagement? And for what purposes did FCCC see it necessary to engage a media relations firm that had individuals clearly connected to the Fiji First Party campaign team charging fees rather than you ensuring that you handle these functions in-house?
Sure. So when I joined as CEO, we did not have a communication function. We did not have an IT function as well. What we did is we used external vendors. This was done through public procurement. It was duly advertised. Went through a tender process. The tender process that we do advertise, that we undertake, is audited by the Office of the Auditor General. Some audits are currently underway, and I'm sure if there's any anomalies, they'll find it. Once this is done, whichever vendor gets selected based on the experience and the pricing, if it fits our budget, we take them on.
Irrespective of if they have any political connections, knowing that you are an independent institution?
Yeah, I mean, a person's right to political association is entrenched in the Constitution. We could have people that are associated with different political parties that we hire. We don't ask people what is your political inclination before we get vendors on board.
If it was a part of a campaign team, political party campaign team?
If we have, I mean, if we did have...
Knowing that you are independent.
Yes, if we did have evidence suggesting that somebody was compromised, if somebody wrote to us and said, look, we object to you engaging this particular person, we would consider the merits of that. And if the law requires us to part ways, we'll look at our contractual obligations and part ways.
Now, on July 5th, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Professor Biman Prasad, said on Straight Talk here that he had asked to have a meeting with you as the FCCC CEO to ensure that effective steps are taken and people are not charged exorbitant prices. Within that interview, he also talked about 7 to 8 wholesalers who deal with about 90% of food products coming into Fiji. Professor Prasad had said he is aware that the freight costs have drastically gone down compared to COVID-19, and it is only right that consumers pay less for goods.
Sure.
On questions by people calling on FCCC to be more stringent and effective to ensure duty and tax reductions are passed down to the people, Professor Prasad had said he will address this in his meeting with the CEO.
Sure.
He also said FCCC will have to play a very important role. The government will make sure that they do that. Some business analysts have said that freight costs are now just about 20 to 25% up from the COVID period. However, this is not reflected in the prices still being charged. Professor Prasad says they have reduced duty on some meat products and other goods, but that needs to be reflected in the prices. He says this is right and they need to aggressively look into this. What are your comments?
I think, Vijay, I think it's always important when people come up and to the minister or to news agencies and they say, look, prices of things should come down. I mean, it's a very general statement. Prices of what people are looking at and what are they expecting as reductions. What we do is, as I've said, we've got a list of 230 different price reviews that we've conducted where freight rate has directly impacted price reduction. All of these have been made available to the minister. In fact, we're organizing a meeting towards the end of this month with the food importers where the minister will discuss some policy matters with them as well to see how we can collectively work to reduce prices for consumers as well. But it's always important to get down to the product itself. I'll give you an example. People say the prices are too high. Okay, let's say government's reduced duty on canned fish, right? Now canned fish, there's from 32 to 15%, it's come down. Now if you look at canned fish for the, with FCCC, when we do our review, it's at transactional level. It's not at macro level, it's at micro level. So for us, it's demarcating between mackerel fish, sardines, tuna and any other form of canned fish. Now if you take mackerel, there's natural oil, then there's tomato sauce. Then there's 455 grams and there's 155 grams. Then there's different brands of that. We've got, in fact, we're just looking at the list today. Prices of mackerel has come down. I can disclose the list to you as well. So prices do come down. They are reflective of reduction. But when you look at freight cost, you're looking at a reduction, say $4,000 per consignment. But they may have like 500 or a few thousand different products in there. And then the cost, that 4,000 is then divided for individual units. And for some units, you'll see a 7 cents decrease, you'll see a 10 cents decrease, a 13 cents decrease. So the decrease may not be as apparent as the $2,000 reduction because our mind psychologically registers 50% reduction, $2,000, 7 cents here. But if you multiply the 7 cents by the number of product that was in that container, you'll get to the reduction. So it has been happening, and we've disclosed all of that to the minister as well.
It's been noticed too, and then when we spotlight very quickly that traders know, okay, they cannot dupe the people, and the prices come down.
Yeah.
And we did a quick survey soon after we started doing stories, and your statements came out. Maybe within the next day, we saw prices stabilize,
yes,
or even go down, and compared to, I mean, we've seen that.
Yes.
But it also is a message that if they are not under the spotlight, are they trying to get away with what they're trying to do?
I think it's general human behavior. There always will be elements in society. I mean, in an ideal world, nobody will do it, but the world we live in, as you've said, is next to ideal. So there will always be people that will try to profiteer of vulnerability of people or engage in exploitative behaviors. And we did come on the first. We were out and about. As I've said, we are out till 4 a.m. I sent reports to the ministers of our activities leading up to the VAT change and post VAT change. We were able to quickly get in and address the market situation as well. So, I mean, when you say spotlight, if we did go on the 1st of August, if not on the 1st of August, which other day should we have gone?
Yeah. And you need to keep doing that, it seems.
On a daily basis. In fact, 8 weeks now, everybody, including myself, we are on 7 days work operation. Last week I was in Nadi, finished my church service in the morning and joined the team in the afternoon. All our staff are out and about. Everyone, our finance team, our HR team, our IT team, everybody is there so that we've got full capacity and we're moving with full steam ahead, making sure that traders know of our presence as well. And I think that's also causing a lot of compliance in the market as well.
Good, keep at it. Saimoni Buadromo has said that small shops and canteens in the area, or any area for that matter, is a question about that. Is there a way we can also lodge complaints about illegal price hike on what they're selling so they too can face the same dilemma as supermarkets do?
Sure. And again, I would question, when you say illegal price hike, if it's a price control item and it's illegal, of course, you can report to FCCC. If it's a non-price control item, you still can report the matter. We can go in and take measures to ensure that those prices are not unreasonably put up. If it's artificially put in there, traders are trying to engage in exploitative behaviors, will get in. The law is the same for everybody.
And you also have a QR code now where people can check for prices. It's made easier for mobile users, if you can tell people.
Yeah, we are constantly trying to use digitalization to get the message out, the information out. We've got a website that's quite exhaustive. You'll find anything and everything that we price control in there. We are trying to make things easier. In fact, I'm meeting with a vendor to see how we can get the ticketing system, how we can get that digitized as well, so that a consumer can take their phone and just scan it. With the assistance of UNDP, we have developed FCCC app, which we should be launching soon as well. That will also give a lot more information to consumers. So we are definitely working in that space.
Fareesha Khan said on the 3rd of August, your statement was quoted in one of the newspapers on how the new VAT rate should be calculated. You said, and I quote, according to her, usually it should be whatever the old price was times 1.06%. However, Fareesha says the international standard practice is to calculate the new VAT price using the original VAT exclusive price, or VEP, and multiply it by 1.15. She says the method you have described in the international standard method yields two different amounts, meaning consumers are paying more than what they should. Why this discrepancy?
No, so there's not a discrepancy. Allow me to clarify. What I had said is, if a particular consumer, everybody's got a phone now, if a particular consumer wants to just do a quick calculation, they can know the approximate price by multiplying the current price by 1.06, which is a 6% change in price. But if you were to do price calculations, which we have also publicized, we'll be pushing it out on our social media as well, is whatever the current price is divided by 1.09 and then multiply it. So you'll have to remove the old VAT and then add the new VAT. Otherwise, if you just go on and multiply it with 6% directly, then it will have an additional amount there as well. But that was just for consumer information purposes.
Or you can go back to VAT exclusive price. And,
yes, which is divide by, take out the 9% and add the 15%.
Yeah.
We did in some of our advocacy sessions with consumers say, you do this. They said, tell us a simpler way. We don't want to know the exact price. We want to know the approximate price. So that is what I was responding to. Okay. But yeah, it's correct. She is correct. If you want to know the exact price, whatever price, divide by 1.09. Whatever the outcome you get, multiply by 1.15. You should get the exact price.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham. On Straight Talk, we have questioned the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, on the need to look at the exorbitant salaries and allowances being paid, as tax dollars are being used to pay for this. Reductions for government ministers and MPs have been announced, as it is affecting taxpayers. There are also exorbitant salaries of CEOs funded by taxpayers, not determined by Higher Salaries Commission, that was disbanded, and where salaries of CEOs are even higher than the Prime Minister's salary. Can you please clarify of this, if this is true in your case? Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances and other CEOs should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market. And if the market says it should be reduced, then rightfully it should be reduced. I understand, as a public servant, whatever I earn is open to public scrutiny. We disclose all of that in our financials, our annual reports, which is then tabled to Parliament and comes in public domain. So I'm fully supportive of the idea that somebody externally should look at it. The manner in which my salary was set was done through an external party. PwC did the review of what the position should be paid given its technical nature. And yes, my salary is higher than the Prime Minister's salary. It reflects the technical nature of the work that we do. But correction there is, it's not all paid for by the taxpayers. Government pays only part of it, while the other part comes from the regulatory work that we do with regulated industries. So my salary is divided into two components, and that is how it's calculated.
The regulated industry coming through to the independent institution.
Yes.
Though. Is FCCC going to take enforcement action on traders for unjustly increasing their prices? Many Fijians have pointed out that as an enforcement authority, FCCC is being very lenient towards unscrupulous traders and has not been doing its job. Should we expect fines?
I would respectfully disagree with the statement because, like I've said earlier, FCCC has to follow the process of the natural justice. There's the constitution that has the rights of accused. General notion is in law is anybody is innocent until proven otherwise by the courts. We are not judge, juries and executioners. What we do is we investigate. If we have enough evidence, we file the matter to court. We have been following that process. If you ask the same question to the businesses, in fact, I get asked by the ministers because they say FCCC is too heavy-handed. They come too heavy on businesses, and I guess at some point in time, because we follow the process of natural justice and we have to take the matter to court, unless there's a separate consumer tribunal, which we are advocating for, where our cases can be heard quicker. I think until then we have to rely on the court system, and it does take some time. So perhaps maybe a call to government to establish a consumer tribunal, similar to one that the previous government had done for corruption-related matters, because justice delayed is, of course, justice denied. We are big advocates of that. We want consumers to get redress. In fact, what we have done is set up an alternative dispute resolution team, and we try and resolve 90% of our cases through mediation. And there's so many cases that we resolve through mediation, so that consumer redress can be achieved quicker.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
No one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
Super Rugby is not an easy competition to compete in. Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Bula Vinaka, I'm Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by Kasabias, specializing in your need.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and our guest tonight, a lot of issues being addressed by the FCCC CEO Joel Abraham, and hopefully you can get all the details and find your answers. We will try our very best in this segment to get through as many as we can, but we cannot, unfortunately, because there were so many questions sent, and I've told Mr. Abraham that I will hand over the remaining questions to him, and we also are in agreement that he will be coming in regular intervals to speak to you directly on issues that you're raising. This is a question from Dr Sushil Sharma. He says, does the FCCC CEO know that in informal settlements, small shops sell items in small amounts, like 100 ml of cooking oil, a quarter bottle of kerosene, 1 egg, 1 sausage, cut piece butter to the poor? He said in Tomuka one day, he had a person walk past him with 1 sausage and 1 egg. 1 sausage was costing him $1.50 and 1 egg 75 cents. According to his calculation, this equated to $10.50 for a packet of 500 gram sausages. if 7 in the packet, or $9 for a dozen of eggs for a tray. If the FCCC is not able to control these types of behavior rife in every informal settlement, often from small hole-in-the-wall operations, we have no hope for the poor. What will the FCCC do to ensure that this type of selling, which is not only illegal but is exploiting, is curtailed in Fiji?
Yeah, we have several approaches to that. As far as informal settlements are concerned, I understand the realities of informal settlements. I've lived in one as well. I understand the night market that operates there. When everything else shuts down, then you've got all these small canteens which are basically either operated from somebody's kitchen or somebody's porch. And what happens is these businesses are not legally registered, and we often rely on consumers to notify us. When our officers go out in settlements, whether it's in Kalekana or it's in Jitu or in Wailea, around Suva area, what we do is we do ask, where the shops are. You'll go there in the day, the house will be closed, there'll be nobody there. So we still have the legal mandate. We can't forcefully enter somebody's house. We ask them, are you selling? They'll say no. In those instances, legally speaking, we are not able to do much. We do rely on consumers, and during our advocacy sessions in these settlements, what we do say is there are generally shops that are close by. Please try and manage as consumers, do smart shopping, try and make lists, so plan yourself out better so that you don't fall into those traps, so that those exploitative behaviors are not used. And we do get consumer complaints from time to time, and as we do get them, we respond accordingly, make sure that the requirements of the laws are followed.
A question here also by Jay Swami. He's asking how many traders were warned or taken to task for engaging in unethical business practices, and he's asking regarding the August 1st afterwards issue.
Sure.
Because traders can easily justify unjustified price hikes using 15% VAT as an excuse. How do you intend to protect the consumers?
So what we do is our enforcement team goes out. We are able to look at and isolate where the increase is stemming from. If the increase is purely VAT related and there's been no increases in cost and no increases in any other related cost, then we take it that this is done for exploitative purposes. For that, we have a corroboration system. We have linked up with the Fiji Revenue and Customs Services. So anything that's landed in Fiji or imported, the landed cost is there. We are able to look at the cost changes as and when they land and look at the differences in the market thereafter. And we are able to then come to what the estimated price is. From 1st of August till date, we've done 1,170 inspections. 19 instances where we are very concerned with traders. Apart from that, 59 other instances that we've noticed, and we have issued notices so that we are able to collect the information and verify them. And the process is ongoing. That being said, as I've alluded to earlier, we follow the process of natural justice. If you look at our record over the past 6 years, we've got approximately 587 matters in court. Over this period, we've won 235 matters. There's 352 matters which are currently active as well in court. So it is an ongoing process, and we are committed to consumer protection. We always have been.
And there were several questions about why you're not naming business houses who are involved in this. Is it because, again, legality is involved?
Yeah, because we cannot be judge, juries and executioner until and unless somebody is proved to be actually violating or breaching the law by the courts. Until and unless that happens, after the judgment is released, we do name traders. But until then, we cannot, because it could be that the traders will put up a defense in court and the court may rule in their favor. So we do not preempt, we do not go and demonize a business because we think they've done wrong, because
you refer the matter.
It's a democracy, there's
process.
Rule of law, we have to follow the natural processes of natural justice.
Have you had instances where your officers have been bribed by businesses to ensure that they get away with doing what they're doing?
Well, if I had known of anyone, they would have been in jail by now. We have a very strong no-drop policy. several years ago, we terminated 2 staff based in Lambasa, just based on a complaint and circumstantial evidence, and they were terminated. But we have a very strong HR system whereby we continuously focus on anti-corruption related matters. We closely work with the FICAC advocacy team as well, and we have anti-corruption champions within the organization as well, that in every departmental meeting will talk about the need for transparency, for accountability, to ensure that none of this happens. And because the officers that go out, they don't make the decision, their job is to collect information, and then we have follow-up inspection. So you could have one team go to a particular location, and then another team could go visit the same location for QA, which is quality assurance, just to make sure that this team has picked up all issues. I also do that as a CEO. I would go out to supermarkets, I get the list of inspectors that have gone out, the enforcement officers, where all they have visited by midday. The afternoon, I'll go to the same stores with the audit team. We'll look at what they found versus what we found, and if there's issues, then somebody has to answer.
Have there been issues?
Hardly, because there used to be issues. When I became CEO, we had to let go of about 11 people because we had circumstantial evidence. We previously, like I've said, terminated 2, not renewed 11 contracts, simply because there were instances for some of them, not all of them, where we felt that they did not fit within the ethos and the ethics that the organization wanted to move with. And so we had to part ways, and they are out there doing their own thing now.
Epeli Kama has said it's good to see that FCCC are doing a great job in monitoring the prices in supermarkets around the country. What about the canteens and small shops around the neighborhoods? Should they be monitored as well? Do they have controls on service station items as well? FCCC should also act swiftly and probably check the prices of items in the canteens inside the boats too. The prices are ridiculous.
We have previously received complaints pertaining to that as well. We have advised various provincial councils to our advocacy that if people do register complaints, if they have issues, please get them to us. We have looked at issues of biscuit being sold at double the price, triple the price, and the team goes out and does advocacy. Usually these breaches, they don't occur when the ship is docked here. It happens usually when they're out in the sea and somebody goes and buys it. By the time somebody goes on Facebook or goes to their village and reports this and the matter gets to us, we try and locate the person to get enough evidence so that we can prosecute the trader. None exist, people don't come forward. We have quite a lot of enforcement challenges as well, Vijay, because there's a difference between venting on social media and seeing the whole process through. We've had to withdraw some matters because the witnesses could not be located, or they just wouldn't come forward, or the business had reached out to them and they had made their own arrangements. And so
what's the best process? People are watching tonight.
So the best process is, if you come across any instance of non-compliance, please note the details. Note the details, as much details as you can give us. Place, time, what receipt, 100%. If they don't issue receipt, note that down, that I bought this, no receipt was issued. Most people today's day and age have camera phones. If you could take photographs as well, or if you can take videos, all those things will help us, so that we are able to then pinpoint the issue of non-compliance.
Then where do you send that to?
We won't send it anywhere. We'll assess it.
Where do people?
Oh, they can send it. We are on Facebook, Fijian CCC. You can email us at helpdesk@fccc.gov.fj. You can call us at 8921-991. Or there's a live chat feature on our website, which is fccc.gov.fj.
That 892991.
Yep.
Is that a free number, toll-free number?
At present, it's not. The toll-free option
Can we make it free?
The toll-free option that we have is the National Consumer Helpline that is maintained by the Consumer Council of Fiji, which is 155. So anybody that wants to do a toll-free, the complaints can be registered with the Consumer Council and they will refer it to us.
So 155 would be the number where you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
And then that complaint will definitely be referred
100%.
to the FCCC. Lasarusa Vusoniwailala has sent a question. Can FCCC please clarify on freight charges of twin cab from Kandavu to Suva? He says Schedule 3 says $117 per ton, but at the moment they're paying $700 return fare. For one way, we pay $500 from Kandavu to Suva. Your comments?
We'll definitely have a look at that. What we do is, and again, this is a port-to-port issue, we have put in submissions to government to try and expand our enforcement arm. Sometimes when the loading is done from Kandavu and the receipts and the payments are all done there, by the time somebody gets to Suva, they might not give us the receipts, we might not get the information. Schedules in Lasarusa, thank you, great consumer that is going out and looking at the schedule that's there. This is the type of complainant we need, and I'd implore, Lasarusa, if you're watching, please get in touch with us. We'll be more than glad to look at that issue.
Lasarusa, and also there were a lot of questions coming through about prices in the rural and maritime areas,
yes,
about monitoring, and that a lot of people have claimed, and I will not go individual questions, that they have said about prices being exorbitant. What kind of work are you doing in that?
Yeah, so we deploy officers. We have a work plan whereby, based on the budget that we receive from government, we are able to send officers out. We have noticed issues. The reason why we want to have area enforcement officers in all these different areas is because when people sit on the boat, our officers, they get on the boat here, messages get to the island that FCCC is coming. By the time we get there, the rates are low. We went on unannounced in 2021. At that time, the government vessel was going, the former PM was making his rounds, and so we jumped onto that vessel without notice. We found 66 traders out of 66 on Kandavu non-compliant. And so we had put in a request, and we're hoping that in time to come, the government can allocate some resources towards establishing these area enforcement officers. In each area, they have to be localized, because once you have local presence, people understand. We used to have an officer in Rotuma. Unfortunately, he met an accident, got paralyzed. We have been trying to recruit. We recently recruited somebody. They then left after that, because as soon as we go in these areas and we recruit people, after some time, somebody hires them and takes them away, because in businesses in those areas don't want any enforcement officers. And if we pay them a higher salary, then the question comes, why are officers paid so highly? So I think it's a chicken and egg kind of situation. It's more of a paradox. You need to have people based there. You need to incur cost. We're looking at containerized offices. In fact, we're proceeding with one in Singatoka, looking at one in Reki, establishing offices in Nindi, Ba, and Tavua as well, Nambalu, Savu, Tavyuni. The idea is, if we are able to have area enforcement officers, then we have localized presence. And then as soon as we receive a complaint, we are able to immediately respond. And because we have a very smaller population base in Fiji, everybody knows everybody. So if there's an issue in Kandavu, they know who to contact in Kandavu. That's the area enforcement officer. They'll be able to, and then we'll be able to move in swiftly and be able to provide redress, charge, lay charges, fine, etc. But unfortunately, for now, we are a bit laid back in terms of our presence in those areas, simply because we don't have the budgetary means to be able to deploy people there full time.
But these are the worst affected areas as well, so we
Yes.
need to do something on that.
Indeed.
Hopefully the next time we come, we have a solution at hand.
Yes, we are in fact looking at reviewing the regulatory fee with the regulated industries, with the objective of policing areas where they do exist. And unfortunately, the regulatory fee section is restricted to utilization to do with the regulated industry, so you can't take it and use it elsewhere. We will be relying heavily on government to support us in terms of funding. As of now, we receive about 4.88 million, which I've always said is not enough. In fact, ideally, if we want to be, if we don't want these issues to come up, if consumer rights to be protected in these areas, we need to then make an investment so that we have people on the ground.
Because our people, there were several questions about the number of people who purchased things at exorbitant prices on the first day, on August 1st, because they were duped into paying exorbitant prices, and they wouldn't want that to be repeated. And as you said, there's if you really think of it, they will not get compensated for it if they.
Yes, because Vijay, the law is a very balanced one. While it has consumer rights, we're looking at one side of the coin, consumers are due, but there's the other side of the coin where you have consumer responsibility as well. There's this thing called consumer solidarity. So in larger markets, what consumers do is they'll boycott products. They'll say, we won't take this because the traders are behaving unethically. It's a market-based solution on achieving consumer protection or ensuring that traders behave in an ethical manner. In Fiji, the full reliance of protecting everybody's right is on FCCC.
You've got a big job.
Yes. So that is why we continuously advocate and say, we want to empower consumers so they do better. We want to empower consumers so they are able to get the best results for themselves. We want empowered consumers so they can walk up to a shop and say, this is my right. They must know their right and they must know their responsibilities as well. So that is where we are focusing on as well, so that we have a very balanced approach.
And your focus is on price control items. You have ensured that you will publish those prices before any changes take place on what are the expected prices.
They are published on a daily basis on our website. We update weekly master price list as well. So if you go there today, you go there next week, the most up-to-date prices are there, and that's been happening from 2010.
So chicken has become a concern, and it's
Yes.
not a price control item.
Yes.
So how do people deal with that?
See, if we go out and collect data today and we publish and say this is the price in the market, tomorrow somebody can offer a special, the price can go low. Because it's a non-price control item, the supplier can also increase the price and it can go up as well. So the point of reference relying on the data would be inaccurate. And that is why specials are advertised and consumers still exercise their consumer rights by looking at where do I get the best deals. That process still must go on. Consumers must take that responsibility on themselves. In fact, there's a Latin concept, let the buyers be aware, cave tempta, that is what it's called. So the buyer also has some responsibility on making sure that they get the best value for money. Usually you'd see people going to traditional media or going on Facebook, there's a lot of advertisements and specials coming up. Those are competitive pressures in the market. The reason that you are able to get that competitive pressure is because people are competing on prices, and that is where we implore consumers to be very smart with their spending.
I'll just try to get through the last few questions.
Sure.
Munesh from Lautoka, his question to you as the CEO is, why is it that when there's an increase in the fuel prices that FCCC publishes the new price at the very last moment? And why isn't FCCC giving the world market reference as where they get the figures from?
Sure, we more than glad to give the reference. I think if you look at any news back in the day, I used to watch Fiji One News almost on a daily basis when I was in school. You'd have those crude oil prices, business news, you'd have all these prices published. So prices are there. It's in the public domain. Google of it, you'll also be able to find it. We can publish, if it's required, we can publish it. We publicize the prices post-gazettal. So if the gazette process, as soon as we receive the gazette, the price is we publish it. We are ready with the prices, but it doesn't become low, meaning we can't tell you what the price is legally because it hasn't legally become the price. The gazette has to happen, and sometimes there's delays in the gazette process. Say in this instance, 1st of August, there was a lot of changes to different laws. So the gazette process, the team that was doing the gazette process, of course, time was taken. And so as we got the prices, we'll let the people know.
Issue about residential rent freeze.
Yes.
People are saying that landlords are still playing games and trying to get people to get out of houses, and then when they get the new tenants, they increase the rent. You'd have heard these stories many times.
Many times.
What can be done there?
So what we do is, and I've gone across so many of these complaints over the years. I've been with the FCCC for the last 12, 13 years. I've gone through so many of these complaints, and there's asymmetries of information in the market, meaning everybody doesn't have information. So say if your landlord was to give you a notice and you left, I came into the property and I said, I'm okay, I'll pay a higher rental. You have no idea what I am paying. All you could do is if the landlord is evicting you and you suspect that it is because the landlord wants to increase rental, people do come and notify us. I've been evicted from this. I've been given an eviction notice. Can you please check? We go back and check. We also have our inspectors. They go out and do surveys and inspections with rental properties as well. So there we ask for records. Last 3 years, last 7 years. Once we get the records, we are able to see the trends in prices. And if the rental has increased, the charges are laid to the traders and then they're taken to court. But there's a high degree of collusion between some tenants and landlords. So if 4 of us are in the market and we're going to look at a particular property, 3 will say, no, I won't pay a higher price. 1 will say, because they want the house, they'll pay a higher price. We've even had instances where consumers come to us and say, I knew the rent freeze was there. I thought I'll pay the higher rental. And now that I'm leaving, I'm lodging a complaint. Can you get my rent refunded? And if we take, and we'll say, okay, we'll take the matter to court, we'll litigate, we'll prosecute, we'll take the matter to court. They'll say, no, we just want a refund. We don't want to come to court. Just get our money back. So enforcement becomes very challenging in those instances. We have a legal framework within which we operate. And because of the degree of collusion, and I've said this previously, that consumer solidarity is very important. We need to be united as consumers and we need to say no to illegal practices. So if you are a new tenant going into a property, ask the landlord to disclose what the previous tenant was paying. If the landlord doesn't come to us, we'll go and get the information out and assess whether you have been unfairly charged.
So people can get the previous rental being charged for that property. Yes. Before we finish, again, a lot of questions have been answered, and thank you CEO for coming in. And again, I give you this time to address the people on what number they can call, where they can lodge their complaint, because that was the biggest question that was being asked.
Sure. I mean, we've publicized this, any queries, any complaints that you have related to VAT price changes, or any other complaint. Consumer Council of Fiji, which by the way is a different organization. They're the consumer advocacy body. We are the Consumer Protection Enforcement Agency and a regulatory body. We are on Facebook as well, Fijian CCC. You can find us on Facebook. You can drop us a complaint there, give us details. We'll be able to act from there. You can email us helpdesk@fccc.gov.fj. You can call us on 8921-991, and or if you want, you're surfing the net, you can go on our website fccc.gov.fj. There's a live chat feature, you can use that as well.
And that's our show for tonight. Until next Wednesday, have a great evening.